Galleries in Power Apps can get messy fast, especially if you need different views for different purposes. Instead of duplicating galleries or hard-coding layouts, let's build one gallery that adapts to any view. With just one drop-down or combo box, you can switch between views, show or hide different columns, and add click to sort headers, and even synchronize each gallery column with its corresponding header for a clean, responsive design. Let me show you how it works. What I have here is a combo box that is a simple table with the name, ID, and order. And then the gallery here, the gallery header, we can start with that. We have a gallery header that is a table, but the table only has one item with multiple properties or objects with 8 columns. On the app formula, we have defined what that is. So we get a views here and then the gallery view with one item. You can see right here with 8 properties, which is the 8 headers that we have. And we have the name internal column, the fill portions. So the fill portions is going to be matched from the header to the item itself. This also applies to the visible property. So the text control down here would mirror the gallery view header table, column 1's fill portion, and also would be the same thing for the visible property with view 1, 2, or 3, depending on that. And also if it's mobile. If the screen size is less than 2, then we're going to say that is a mobile view, then use the mobile view property from the table. Well, let's get started. To start off, I already created a screen container with the app header and a vertical container to save some time. Then I added a combo box. And to store the table of the combo box in the app formula. The table name I'm using is views. The table contains the name, the order, and the ID of each view. Then insert the table name to the combo box, and don't forget to rename your combo box as well. Of course, we also have to have a default selection of the combo box. We can either do what I have currently first of whatever the table name is, or you can do sort by columns, your data source, comma, the order, and in whichever order you would like. Because I am using the modern combo box, I have to select the field I want to display, which is the name. And then I added padding to the vertical container for all sides for a visual separation from the header and the side borders. Then we're going to insert a horizontal gallery for the gallery header. Change the layout to a blank gallery layout. Then rename it to gal_view header. You can change it to whichever you like. Update the height and layout minimum height to 50. Set the width to parent.width minus 16. So the 16 came from the main container padding from the left and the right. Before we get started on building the table for the gallery header, I want to emphasize how important this step is. This is going to save you a lot of confusion later. So first, write down the name of the views and the view number ID with all the columns that you want to show in the order from left to right. For example, we have all connectors, which is one of the views, view ID number 1 with the title, connector ID, tier, publisher, description. And if you're considering mobile responsiveness, I would highly recommend selecting 3 main columns or less to show in the mobile view. Mark it with -true or some way to mark it that this column is going to be visible when on mobile view. Then we're going to put all the columns in order from all 3 views. So when we show or hide columns, it will be exactly the way we have planned. Title is the first column from all views, so put that down as first. Go through the second column of all views, which is connector ID. And then third column from all views, we got tier, and then we got custom API. Do you see that the icon brand color is in both view 2 and 3, but view 2 has a release tag where view 3 doesn't. So put the release tag first, so then when that is hidden, the next one is going to be the icon brand color. And what else is missing? We have the publisher and the description. So from that order, we have the title, connector ID, tier, custom API, release tag, icon brand color, publisher, and description. For explanation's sake, I have put all the columns in a spreadsheet with their display names, internal column names, which we're going to use to sort the columns, and the column type from SharePoint, which is going to be our data source. So because we cannot sort choice columns since it is a record, we are going to add text columns for the choice values, which makes the choice internal columns to be different from what we originally have on SharePoint. I am going to append the word value for the choice internal columns. Now we get the hard part out of the way, we just have to plug it into a table. So I have a JSON array here where we have the column, name, internal column, FillPortions, which is going to be crucial for our container. So this is just to start off. And we have view 1, which is the visibility if we want to show on view 1. View 1 mobile, which is the visibility we want to show on view 1 on mobile view. And same thing with view 2 and 3, and then minimum width. So even if we have a container, we want to have a minimum width at a specific point. So let's just plug in for the title, the first one. We have the title here, that's fine. And if you can see, this is the array. And then in the array, we have a one item. Within one item, we have all of these objects or properties. So we are going to go down the list from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we only have, how many columns that we have here? 8. So we can just stop at column 8 and then delete the rest. Okay, now let's go down the list. So remember, this is in the order that we're looking for. So this one would be connector ID, which would be here. And then let's just copy that as well. The next one is tier. We'll go tier. And then the internal column would be tier value. And then moving down to number 4, custom API, space, and then release tag value, and then add that space, icon brand color, okay, publisher, and then description. Okay, we got that down. Now we're gonna make sure the views are correct. Let's just go through view number 1, title, true, and that is also true. View number 2, true, true. So 1 is good. Let's go to connector ID, which is going to be true, but in mobile, it's going to be false. I'm just going to copy the word false. And then connector ID will also be false in mobile. For view number 2, let's go to view number 3. That is true and true. Okay, let's go down to tier. That is going to be view 1, true, true. View number 2 is false. View number 3, there is no tier either. Let's put that to false as well. Custom API, view number 1 is false. View number 2, custom API is true. And mobile is also true. Number 3 is false, and then release tag. Number 1 is, for view 1 is false, the mobile false as well. Release tag is true, but mobile is false. View number 3, we don't have it, so false, false. So for icon brand color, it's only view 2 and 3. So we'll make this false, false. View 2 is not in mobile, so false. This view 3, is it in mobile? Is false as well. So for publisher, publisher is true for number view 1. View 2 is also true, mobile as well. view 3 as well. So we're good so far. And description, seems like all of them have it, but it is not in mobile. Okay, so all this should be good starting point. We'll copy all this, and then we are going to add to the app formula, which we are going to name gal views header equals. So let's remove that, paste it in, good to go here. We got the hard part out of the way. Now we get to do the fun stuff. We had the gallery header over here. The next thing we are going to add is a container. And this container has to be a horizontal container. Okay. And let's rename this horizontal container to container underscore header item. And we want the drop shadow to be none, border radius to 0. Width, we are going to do gallery underscore view header dot width. And if you can see that it's actually bigger right here, bigger than the actual width. The reason being is the gallery actually has a 5 padding. So either remove the padding to 0, or you can come back here with the width and minus the gallery template padding times by 2. So now it's exactly within inside of the gallery. So after that is done, the height, we can copy exactly how it is, and you can see it is doing the same thing, that it is bigger than it is. So we can do a minus template padding again times by 2. Now it is within the gallery. So that is completed. And align, let's do a vertical align the center. Justify, you can either do the left or in the middle. So it's fine right now. So next thing we are going to do is enter a button. Okay, this is a very important button. Now this is the time to do your theming if you haven't done so yet. And you should decide what type of button aesthetic that you want to go with. Primary, either secondary outline. What I usually like to do is either the transparent. When you hover, it changes the color, or the subtle. It has a hover fill of some gray colors. So what I usually like to go with is the transparent. The icon style, I like it to be filled. And let's change this to button header column 1. The next thing we're going to do is going to be invisible. We are going to update context. So we are going to have the default view sort column. Like what is the internal column name that we want to default by, and the default sort direction. So on visible of the screen, it will auto update those context variables. And then coming back to the button, we are going to go down the list to make sure everything is exactly what we wanted. So let's start with text. The text would be this item dot column 1 dot name, since the name is going to be the display name here. And then the icon would be this. If the view sort direction is this column's internal name, then we are going to be checking the view sort direction. If it's ascending, then volume up, not volume, arrow up, or else it will be arrow down. And then this is optional layout. You can either do before or after. I preferably like to be after. And then the accessibility label, it would be something like self.text, and we can say something like sort, header, button, and then going down here, and then the vertical, the line of this, we are going to be in center. Usually it comes centered, but sometimes it will forget what it is. So our vertical align will also be in the middle. Everything will be default, except the height is going to be parent.height, and align in container center, it's fine. And then the flexible width, we are going to turn that on. FillPortions, this is where we're going to say this item dot fill portions. And then minimum width, we also have that as well. And maximum width, we didn't really set that, so it is fine how it is. Like I said before, this has to be exactly how you want it, so you don't have to update the changes again. Depending on how you would like it to look, you can change to whichever type you like. You can do a primary or a transparent. Whichever floats your boat. What I usually like to do is, if the app banner already has something so bold, I usually like to go with the transparent type, where if I hover, it would be the color of my theme. So if you don't have a header that is very bold, if you have a white header, something not as crazy, then I would recommend using the primary instead. So because I have a bold header, I am going to use the transparent. And I always like my icon style to be filled. It just makes it more bold in my opinion. And then the next thing we're going to do, it's completely optional. Do you see how it is a black color, like a dark button color? So if you want your selected sort header to be a different color, then go ahead and just change it into the font color. So right now it is blank. When it is blank, it is the black one. I want to say if view sort column equals to this item dot internal column, then I am going to make it a purple color. And then the font weight, I want to change it. If it is sorting in that column, I want it to be in bold. And then border radius, depending on which one it is, I would usually like to do a 0. And another thing we want to do is visible property. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I created this local variable called isMobile. So screen name dot size. If anything is a mobile size, which is usually a screen size 1 or less, that would be a mobile view. If the current screen is less than 2, then we are going to use switch depending on the drop down. If the drop down is 1, then we're going to check. If it is mobile, then use this column's view number 1 mobile. Else we are going to use view 1. If the selected drop down is view ID number 2, then we are going to check again if it is mobile. If it is this view's mobile, same thing with number 3. Else use this view's whatever number of the selected drop down. The next thing we are going to do is on select. So on select of this, we want to update the context. On select of this button, I want to update sort view column to this column's internal column, and then the direction. If the current direction is ascending, then change it to descending, else ascending. Everything is all good. Now we are going to copy this button 8 times because that is how many headers we have. Now we are going to rename it. The next thing we're going to do, so listen very carefully, it's going to be very easy if you get the trick right. So go to your column 2, go to the text over here and do a Control F on your keyboard. And we are going to type out column 1 and do a drop down. And because this is for column 2, right, we are going to replace it with column 2. All we have to do is either click on this button or you can click enter on your keyboard. So it has been replaced. And we are going to do the same thing to all the properties down here, right? Icon, you can click this button. Boom, we're done. The next thing we're going to do, same thing. That one, it's good. We don't really need to do it. And then height, it's fine. Fill portion, same thing. Click on this button, we're good. Minimum width, same thing. And then for the font color, same thing. Font weight, same thing. And then 2 other properties that are hidden is the on select property. We are going to do the same thing. and then the visible property. There you go. And then we are going to click and replace all of them. Everything is all good here. Now we're going to do the same thing for column 3. To avoid confusion, we're just going to start from the top again. Change it to column 3. We're done. Next. Done. I totally forgot about the fill portions, and you'll see how I pay for it later. That's also done. And then we are going to do the same thing with the visible. Same thing with on select. So as you do this, you should be seeing the column that you have named yourself. So now I'm going to replicate for all the other ones.
A few moments later.
After you're done, now we are going to go through each view to make sure everything is working like it should. All connectors, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all the columns are showing correctly in the order that we have initially created. And I would just go through each button to make sure it's working. So in my opinion, everything looks good right now. So beautiful. Something does bother me where this is not semi-bold. Just a little bit pet peeve. Maybe I should have updated that. So I would do this to be a semi-bold. I think I like that a little bit better, in my opinion. I'm going to copy that, go here, font weight, and just change it to all of them. So one thing we can also add is like on change of the views. I wanted to change which column gets sorted again, because what if the column that it was originally sorting was not inexistent? The views, I wanted to set it to the default sort column again. So go to your screen on visible and then copy that combo box. On change, we wanted to change it to that again. So on change, it would automatically go back to the title again. Perfect. All right, now we are going to create another gallery actually for the item. So we are going to do a vertical gallery, and let's change it to just, let's do a blank again. We order move down. And let's rename this to gal items. Data source, this data source is going to be, get it from SharePoint. The data connectors, let's get that in here. So that is that item. And then what we are going to do is make the width parent.width. And then do you see how it goes beyond to what we were thinking, because we had a padding on the main container. So we'll copy that. Minus main container dot padding left times 2. So now we're within the padding. And the height, we are going to make it flexible height. I want to have a maximum height as possible. Padding 5 is fine. Just make sure that if this padding is 5, you have to make sure the header gallery is also 5. You just want to make sure it's mirroring apples to apples. Everything else, it's okay for now, but let's enter the container. So we are going to do exactly the same how we did the header. Parent.width, if there is padding. So template padding times 2. I'm going to copy that. Do similarly like for the height. that part is wrong. Go ahead and follow the screen, parent.template height. We can do border radius as 0. Drop shadow, I think it is fine. I do like a light drop shadow to see which items from which. And then let's rename it to container underscore item. The next thing we're going to do is the template size. I am just going to do 50. Okay, the next thing we want to do is inside the container, we want to add text. We are going to do the same thing. You want to make it exactly how you want it before copying over. This would be text underscore column 1. This text is this item dot title. This column 1 is title. We want to turn on flexible width. Turn that on. So the minimum width would be first. It would be the first of our headers data source dot column 1 dot minimum width. We want this to be aligned in the center, vertical aligned in the middle, auto height turned off, aligning container of that. And the height, we are going to do parent.height. The size and everything, just make sure it is exactly how you want it. For visible, we are going to be doing similar of how we did here. So instead of this item, because it doesn't know what this item is, since the data source is different, we are going to replace it with the first with our header data source. There you go. That should be it. I believe everything looks correct on the text itself. So now we are going to copy it 7 more times, like how we did with the header. Rename it. Right now, just ignore what is it saying, the spacing and everything, because we will get that figured out after we have all the data. So let's go down the list again. We have the text. This part, I haven't found a way to dynamically pull from the data source. So we would just have to manually do it however you did on your list. So I know column 2 is connector ID. Column 3 is tier value. It is tier, but we haven't added the value. So let's do value. Let's go back to the gallery item and actually add those columns. It is going to be a little bit easier. I have 2 columns, which is tier and release tag. Tier value and release tag. Value. So there you go. Now it should be working. I know this is not delegable, but this is not about delegation for this video anyways. So number 2, we're done with the connector ID. Number 3, tier value. Number 4 is custom API. Number 5 is release tag value. And number 6 is the icon brand color. And then number 7, publisher. Number 8 is the description. It will look crazy because we haven't updated visible property. So now we got all the data in. Let's go to each column. Yeah, we did not do the fill portion correctly, so we would have to do it now. So going back to column 1, it would be first of the gal view headers dot column 1 dot fill portion. So because I forgot to add in the fill portion code to the other buttons that we have copied, we would have to do that to all of them. So go to column 1 that we just changed, and with the fill portion, copy that and then select all of them at once. So I'm holding my the Alt key on my keyboard so I can select all of them. And then for the fill portions, I am just going to paste just so I don't forget what I need to change. I need to change on visible, the visible property. And then I need to change the fill portion and then the minimum width. So let's go down the list again. So going down to the visible property, I just click on the visible text, and then we are going to do the same thing of what we did with column 1. We are going to change it to column 2. So click that again, and then same thing with fill portions. Again, minimum width, we're doing the same thing as well. Okay, we're done with column 2. Let's do column 3 with the visible, fill portions, minimum width. I forgot to change the column to 3. So we'll have to change it to 2. Now is to 3. From 2 to 3. From 2 to 3. Okay, so number 4. Don't forget to change it back to 1. Now it's 4. From visible, fill portion, minimum width. So now it looks a little bit crazy. This is where we kind of changed the fill portions and everything else. So let's take a peek. I want the description to be much bigger. I want the publisher to be much smaller. Connector ID and everything else, it's okay. So what we can do is go to your app formula, change the description to fill portion, maybe a 2, double it. Let's see what happens. So after we double it, what do we think? If this is not wide enough or whichever, sometimes even looking at this now, the description, the text is way too big in my opinion. So maybe I'll change this, the column 8 to like a 12. And another thing, like the icon, brand color, the publisher, we can definitely go smaller, in my opinion. Icon, brand color, let's change it to 0.7, I think. 0.7, so it's a little bit smaller. So we can go through all of this to make sure it's looking correct. And then the tier, I think we can go a little bit smaller as well because it's only showing premium or standard. So let's change that as well for tier. We'll make this. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but there is some difference that this here, the text is not showing in the middle of the header. So we are going to go to the header and then of the text, we are going to say self.width. So we can tell how wide is that button. And then I am going to do something with the column 1 with the text. And do you see that how there is a difference from the sizing? So let's figure it out to see what is going on here. Remember that I said I would have to pay for it because I was being too hasty and totally forgot about column 3's fill portion, and that is what had happened. What I ended up doing is adding the width to every header and column and figured out column 3's header and the text are not the same. And the next thing, just to make sure all of the columns are showing correctly, and sometimes you can change it, right? So instead of saying true, so this is a custom API, column is Boolean, that is on column 4, and we don't have to make this as a text. We can make this as a button, an icon, or anything that we would like. Another way to do it is the text. So if true, we are going to say I'm using the what's called the window icon on my key and pressing the semicolon to make this a check. Else, we are going to say cancel, cancel. There we go. All right, seems like everything's all good to me. Now let's connect the sort columns and sort direction. So go to your gallery, items. Now we are going to sort by column, comma, view, and then sort view, sort direction, boom. Now we're good. We are going to sort it. Just make sure it's correct. Collector IDs, brand color, publisher is doing the same thing. Perfect. Same thing for the other ones. And then I do see that custom API does not need to be that big. So custom API is column 4. So let's make this 0.07 or 6 actually would work as well. There you go. So the standard connector has the most items. And I think the release tag can be smaller as well. Let's do it 0.8. So actually we can even go smaller. So maybe 0.6. And then the next thing we are going to check is the mobile view. Let's go to the mobile view. It doesn't seem like we have the space to have 3 columns to be visible on mobile view unless we want to make all the fonts to be smaller, which we're not going to do today. This is why I mentioned earlier to have 3 columns max to show on the mobile view. As a recommendation, highly recommend testing on the mobile device if mobile responsiveness is one part of your requirements. So I am going to go back to the app formula and then just scroll down to see which one is actually visible on mobile view. I am going to do a Control F for mobile. We can tell the title and connector ID is mobile and also tier. So we are just going to do 2 columns depending which one you want to pick. You can go ahead and set the whatever view number mobile to be false if you want to hide that column. So I ended up with view number 1 with all connectors with the title and tier column. And then for the second view, I have the title for end custom. And then this is what I have for the last view. So one thing I forget to add is that if your views has different gallery items, such as not all of them is going to be showing the same data source. So depending on how complex each view is, if it is very simple, kind of like mine, where this is where our original data source is, but if it's selected into a different view, it would only filter by 1 column, then I would do something like this. This is simple. We have a switch depending on the view selected ID. If it's number 2, then we are going to filter by standard tier. And then if it's view number 3, we are going to filter by premium tier. Else, we're going to show all tiers of connectors. So that's one way of doing it. If your view is very complex, then I would highly recommend doing this as a collection on change of your combo box. So we are just going to copy this and then select the combo box, right? It's going to look very strange. What we are going to do is have a collection. So we're going to have a collection of all of the unfiltered. So one of the views, in this case, one of the views, which is view number 1. And then we have the selected view. So we can do stuff like clear, collect, selected view. And we are going to do something like this, right? Depending which one is selected, we are going to do that and then close it right here. And then we can just copy the collection name into the gallery items instead. So let's comment that out like that. And the approach with this is that you need to collect it before it gets to these items. So either you can do it on start or on visible, whichever you need, because when on loading of this screen, there is nothing has changed about this combo box. So therefore, it doesn't collect that collection at first. So just for simplicity's sake, I am just going to copy this code to on visible of this screen. Or sometimes I do like to put it into a button and then whenever the screen is visible and select the button. So let's go to another screen and let's see, how can I go to another screen? So we'll go here and then come back. Hopefully it will collect. Okay, there you go. It has collected. And then you just see that little delay. I'm not sure it's because of the items or anything, but there is something called the delay item loading. We can do it to false if you would like. So let's go to another screen and then come right back. So it's doing that for the header as well. We'll change that to false. There we go. And I believe this is it. I hope you guys find this helpful. This is something to start with. You don't have to always do the same thing that I do, but it is just nice to see how other people do it. I hope you find this enjoyable or even help you in any way. Please let me know in the comments below and have a good rest of your day. And there you have it. I hope this video is helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon to follow for more updates.